Hey, we're in the studio with Marc Maron as a popular stand-up comedian and a top-rated podcaster of WTF on iTunes. He is also known for hosting shows on Air America, acting in movies such as his role in Almost Famous, and as a frequent guest on David Letterman. He also set a record for appearing 44 times on Late Night with Conan O'Brien. So were you scheduled for The Tonight Show before he left NBC?
I'd like to say that I was, but I was not. I was close. We were working on a set. We had put one together. I had to tweak it a little bit, and then the next thing I know, the guy loses his job. So I was out. We'll see what happens with the next one. I think maybe I'll have a better shot at getting back on there when he's on basic cable as opposed to The Tonight Show. I was really looking forward to doing my Tonight Show. I'd never done it before because I was not... I just didn't want to be part of it with Jay. I just didn't. I couldn't watch it, so I was like, I'm loyal to Conan, and I'll do Letterman when I'm asked. But I really thought I was going to make my Tonight Show debut with Conan. But no, he did not let that happen. He's a very intense guy. He's a very tightly wrapped guy. So when you're around him, you're definitely like you get all jacked up just naturally because he's so jacked up.
Well, since it's fresh on your mind, how did your interview go with Robin Williams today?
Talk about jacked up. No, well, the weird thing about Conan, getting back to that, is like we're not friends off camera. He's just been very good to me over the years as a guest, and we've developed a rapport. I went out to Robin Williams' house today, and it was nice. It was low key, believe it or not. It was very real conversation. I think he's at a point in his life now where he's got a lot of hindsight and a lot of humility about where he's at. And it was more low-key than I thought it would be, and pretty honest about a lot of stuff, about drugs, about comedy, about his past, about his parents. I mean, it got real interesting, and I was hoping for that. So that'll be a great episode of WTF, and we'll try to get that together soon. But he's a very sweet guy, very accessible guy. I was sort of happy I didn't have to deal with the, balls to the wall, full-on, improv machine, and he was really, we were in his house. And he was like, accessible and good.
So let's talk a little bit about technology. A lot of our audience on MP3 and CNET are into that.
Oh, you lost me. I'm already lost.
You already lost.
Yeah.
Do you find it's hard to keep up with all the new devices like the iPad and the variety of phones?
I find that I don't have an iPad and I don't have an iPhone, and I'm not against either of them. I just am locked into a contract with my BlackBerry. And I'm ashamed to even say BlackBerry. I'd much rather say iPad. But I do have I do try to keep up the best I can, but I don't use it for a lot of things. Technology, I find, is all relative to what you use it for. And the only way you can learn how to use it is if you need it to do something. Like, I don't have any apps. I don't have anything. I just need to check my email and make phone calls. Does that make me bad? And also, I find that if you don't keep up with phones, if you get two phones behind everyone else, you might as well be on an island with a walkie-talkie. It's ridiculous. I remember when I had a phone that didn't text and everybody started texting, and it was ridiculous. People would text me, and I might as well have had a stone tablet and a hammer and chisel. People would be like, "Where are you?" "Oh, no. Clink, clink, clink. I, clink, clink, am calling you. Don't text me anymore." But I do have a computer just for porn, which I think is pretty advanced. I'm serious.
I've heard about that one.
You have?
Well, because I've been to your show. But And have you updated it? Do you have any more than 2 friends now on your phone?
Oh, you don't want me to do the bits?
I was trying to get you to say it. All right.
Well, I do have a computer just for porn. Well, I mean, I didn't start out that way. What happened was, I got an Apple computer because I had to, because I went to the Apple store once. That place is amazing. Do you remember the first time you went to an Apple store where you walk in, it's like, oh, it almost felt like I was picked up by a friendly spaceship. And I had this moment where I'm like, oh my God, these beings are so much further along than we are. And we can just take their equipment and give them money for it and use it in our own homes. So I buy this Apple, and I'm just sitting there looking at it, and I'm bonding with it. And it's so pretty and beautiful and virginal and nice. And I'm thinking, I don't want to dirty up its head with that porno filth. So now I've got this old whore of a PC out in the garage. It's all corrupt and crazy. I walk out there. It's like, still want to do me? You can't get the viruses I have. Come on. I'm like, yes, I do. Where do you want to go today?
What was your first memory of being funny?
When I was in 3rd grade, me and this kid, Jerry Graves, used to go in front of the class, and he would play Rover from Sesame Street, Grover, and I would interview him. And it was like a show. And I remember us getting laughs with him being Grover. I was the straight man. It was a short-lived comedy team, Maron and Graves. I think by the end of third grade, we were done. We were washed up.
What was your most memorable gig that you've played, good or bad?
The first time I did David Letterman was pretty outstanding. You know, I'd done TV before that, but I had such a respect for Letterman and his show. And, I watched him since he was on the air. And it's such a spectacular theater, and it's so nice and cool in there, and it's such a primed room. And I think that the first time I did that was great. And also the HBO half hour in 95 I did at the Fillmore. And I think because of the ghosts of that place, I was very enchanted with the idea of being there. And I took a lot of chances on that show. And some people think it's the best thing I ever did. And that was pretty exciting because I was at a place in my career where I was doing a lot of, spontaneous storytelling. And for some reason, this is a big opportunity, HBO half hour. And most people would have prepared the hell out of it. Like, I'm going to make sure I hit this out of the park. And literally I was like, oh no, man, I'm just going to, see what happens. And there's a story on there that I told about going to a Jerry Garcia concert and taking mushrooms that I had no intention of telling. And it was completely spontaneous in that moment. It was a pretty big risk, but I wasn't thinking in terms of that because I was doing it the way I wanted to do it, which was the entire performance was fairly spontaneous and kind of raw. But I really liked that piece of work, and I remember how exciting that felt. But being on Letterman was great because even when I've done it like, 4 or 5 times. When he walks up to me to shake my hand afterwards, there's still part of me that thinks, holy shit, it's David Letterman. Most of my energy is going into that podcast. We do 2 a week. We produce it, and I love doing it.
I think one of your best moments on there is, you have a lot of great moments, but when you were talking about not wasting time worrying about what other people think about you.
Yeah.
And how's that going for you so far?
I don't know. What are you thinking? If you're a creative person and you're putting stuff out into the world, or you have some party that needs approval, like most creative people, however you fight that fight is your own trip, But it all comes down to wiring. Because the truth of the matter is, on a logical basis, you don't know what the hell anyone's thinking about you. You're making assumptions about what other people are thinking based on your own insecurities. So that's usually reality. I mean, I don't know how many times you've been in a situation where you sit there and obsess about what someone's thinking about you, or whether they like this thing that you did, or whether they want to be your friend, whatever the hell it is. Everything that you're doing in your head, things you're making up, and you're putting a whole life and a whole point of view on a person that you have no idea what the hell they're thinking. And 90% of the time, you're wrong because all that person is thinking about is themselves. But when you do put stuff out there, you wonder how it's being received, and it's hard to detach from that. And I do get a lot of positive feedback, and I get some negative feedback. But there's something about the creative mind also that will fester on negative feedback. It's almost like it's more satisfying, and you feel it more if you're a sick-minded creative person when someone criticizes you. Like, you can go through 10 or 15 you're great, love what you do, and the one that's like, you suck, why do you even do this? You're like, that's the one that resonates.